不要站错队。
See how I use an ad blocker. Very mindful, very demure. I'm not watching ads like the rest of you. But when I do, I get paid for it. Very cutesy. I think I literally found like a Google cheat code because this update
Whatevs. Chrono Frost? Chrono multi-strike.
Time out. Gotta sharpen my.
I'm gonna try this. Chrono Frost multi-striker thing.
Son Yan is the captain of a firefighter squad. One day, he gets injured and ends up at the hospital. To his shock, the doctor who will be treating him turns out to be none other than his high school sweetheart, Su Qin. 10 years ago, Su Qin was transferred to a new school where Son Yan was her classmate. Upon seeing her for the first time, he instantly fell in love with her. They quickly became more than just friends. However, Su Qin's mother disapproved of their relationship because of their different backgrounds. Son Yan was from a middle-class family, while Su Qin came from a wealthy and influential one. Under pressure from her mother, Su Qin ended things with Son Yan, leaving him heartbroken. She thought they'd never meet again, but fate had other plans. A decade later, they found themselves face to face once more. While Son Yan recognized his first love right away, Su Qin couldn't recognize him because he was wearing a mask. Son Yan's team informs the doctor that he hit his mouth on a hard surface, causing his teeth to hurt. Su Qin suggests they see a dentist, but since it's late at night, the firefighters urge her to give Son Yan a painkiller to ease his pain. When Su Qin asks Son Yan to remove his mask so she can take a closer look at his teeth, he abruptly leaves the clinic, insisting he's fine and doesn't need treatment. After he departs, Su Qin is left in a state of shock, her mind racing with thoughts. She thinks about those eyes and realizes the patient is none other than her high school boyfriend. To confirm her suspicion, she goes outside, but the firefighters have already hopped into their truck. The other team members inform Son Yan about Su Qin waiting outside the hospital, but Son Yan avoids her and leaves the premises abruptly. The next day, Su Qin receives a call from her property manager, who informs her about a fire near their neighborhood. Upon hearing this, she immediately decides to go to the location to treat any survivors. Meanwhile, Son Yan and his team reach the scene, but a car blocks their path to the building. Since the owner is nowhere to be found, they take matters into their own hands. Working together, they lift the car and tip it onto its side, clearing the way for the fire truck to reach the burning building. The scene is chaotic, with smoke arising from the building and the sound of sirens filling the air. As the team heads towards the building, Su Qin steps out from the crowd, intending to join the firefighters to treat the survivors' injuries. Son Yan instinctively grabs her arm, mistaking her for a civilian. Seeing Son Yan, Su Qin realizes that he is indeed the firefighter who came to the hospital the other day. Without hesitation, she informs him that she's a doctor and is here to offer her services. Understanding the need for medical help, Son Yan agrees to let Su Qin accompany him. After reaching the location, a team of firefighters under the supervision of Son Yan enters the burning building. They are going to find any survivors inside. Meanwhile, Su Qin is treating the injured people outside. Suddenly, a blast sounds as something explodes inside the building. The instructor of the firefighters asks if anyone is injured. Luckily, all the firefighters are safe. They learn that there could be more explosions inside the building, so it is better to cancel the search mission and call their team back. So, the instructor, Suo Jun, orders everyone to come back outside. But Son Yan sees someone asking for help there. It's a young child who is sitting in a corner, weeping for help. So, Son Yan goes to help him. The moment Son Yan is taking the child out, a big explosion occurs, and huge flames come out of the building. Everyone is worried about Son Yan, but we see that he is coming out of the smoke with the child in his arms. Su Qin quickly goes to Son Yen to treat him if he is injured, but Son Yen is fine. Instructor Suo Jun comes to him and asks him to follow the instructions next time. Meanwhile, the owner of the car, which the firefighters set aside, has arrived there. It was a sports car, and that's why the owner is angry at the firefighters for damaging it. Son Yen handles him very nicely, and Su Qin is standing there watching all this. On their way back, Suo Jun asks Son Yen if he knows the lady doctor who was helping the victims, but Son Yen doesn't give any reply and goes back to the station. The next day, Suo Jun again tries to ask Son Yen about the doctor, but Son Yen ignores the question. However, deep inside, Son Yen thinks about her all the time. On the other hand, Su Qin brings out a bag from her storeroom. Inside the bag are some things from her past that are related to Son Yen, like a jacket with the name Son Yen on it. She remembers her past days spent with Son Yen when they used to graffiti on the walls. She then goes to the house of the aunt of Son Yen, where he used to live back then, but the aunt and her daughter are not happy seeing her. They don't even welcome her inside. They tell her that Son Yen doesn't come to their house often as he spends most of the time at the fire and rescue station. The other day, a couple comes to her when Su Qin is in the hospital. The lady wants treatment for her burn arm. Su Qin gives them the medicine, but they want more attention. Meanwhile, some firefighters come there injured, so Su Qin quickly stands up from her seat to treat them. The man with the burnt lady tries to stop Su Qin as he wants more attention from her for her wife. But his wife's injury is not that serious. Son Yen is present there, and he quickly saves Su Qin from that man and asks him to stay away from the doctor. Outside the hospital, Su Qin runs to talk to Son Yen. It's their first proper talk after a decade in which Su Qin tries to ask Son Yen out for a coffee, but Son Yen is hard on her. He doesn't show any interest and rejects all the offers made by Su Qin. The other day, Su Qin goes towards her home in her car after work. The stormy weather prevails all over the city, and her car stops in between the water that had accumulated on the street due to
went
heavy
the bee's
rains.
knees.
She tries to get out of the car, but the door is jammed. Also, water starts accumulating inside the car. She becomes anxious and quickly calls 119 for emergency help. After some time, help has arrived, and it is none other than Son Yen. He lifts the car above from the front with his full might and drags it ahead. Then, he breaks the window glass and takes Su Qin out of the car. After reaching at the safe place, Son Yen rebukes Su Qin for going out in such weather. He then gives her a dry jacket to wear and asks her to go home. Son Yen himself leaves in a boat to help other victims of this stormy weather. The following day, Su Qin is present with her friend Xiao in his club. A waitress tells them that firefighters have come there to check their safety systems. Hearing this, Su Qin stands up and goes to look for Son Yen, but there is a female officer who has come there for the system check. She is the senior of Son Yen. After that, Su Qin goes to the bathroom, where she sees a couple kissing. Then, she remembers her days spent with Son Yen at the clubs. It ignites her desire to meet Son Yen again, and she leaves the club immediately. She goes to the fire and rescue station to meet Son Yen, but Son Yen declines to meet her. He asks the guard to tell Su Qin that he is not at the station this time, but in reality, he is standing there at a distance, looking at Su Qin. Instructor Suo Jun comes there and asks Son Yen to meet Su Qin, but he declines to meet her again. He has forgotten everything and wants no connection with his past. The next day, Su Qin goes to the house of the aunt of Son Yen, where he is present at that time. She returns the jacket to him, which Son Yen had given her on the stormy night. She then thanks him for saving her life, but Son Yen asks her why she is trying to meet him again and again. He doesn't want to meet her again until and unless she is ready to marry him. Su Qin is shocked to hear this, but before she can reply, Son Yen says that she can't marry him as she lacks the power to make such a decision. That's why Son Yen is not willing to meet her again. Su Qin is silently standing there, and she has no answer for him. After that, we see there is a road accident and a car has fallen into the canal. The rescue team is there to get the victims out of this sad situation. An ambulance also comes there with the emergency department doctors, including Su Qin. When the rescue team is cutting the body of the car to take the victim out of the car, suddenly, the car moves downward towards the hill. Su Qin is there inside the car, treating the victim, and is going to be hurt by the pointed end of the car's body. But Son Yen comes behind her and saves her. However, he injures himself badly on the back by that pointed end of the car. They extract the victim and send him to the hospital. Su Qin asks Son Yen to come to the hospital as he is injured. but Song Yen refuses to go for treatment with her. Suo Jun comes there and forces Song Yen to go to the hospital. In the hospital, Song Yen asks for another doctor for his treatment, but Su Chin is not going to provide him with another doctor. She asks him to remove the shirt, and then she herself washes the wound of Su Chin with antiseptic. Then she stitches the wound and puts a bandage on it. After putting the bandage, Su Chin looks in the eyes of Song Yen and asks him to patch up with her again. But before Song Yen could answer him, the firefighter officer who was present at the club come into the room. Her name is Li Meng and she is worried about Song Yen. She helps him wear his shirt and asks him come with her back to the station. Looks like she also has feeling for Song Yen. Su Chin is watching all this standing silently. After Li Meng leaves the room, Su Chin asks Song Yen if she is his girlfriend. But Song Yen says that he is not going to patch up with Su Chin because he can't bear the pain of breakup again, which he has endured once 10 years ago. At that time, he was young, so he endured the pain, but now he has not that strength to fall apart again. Saying this, he leaves the room and Su Chin is weeping there, remembering her good old days. Outside the room, Li Meng also asks Song Yen about the lady doctor. She is willingly to leave Song Yen if he is interested in the doctor, but Song Yen says that there is no chance for both of them. Neither the firefighter lady nor the lady doctor. Our hero is a hard boy and it's not going to be easy to melt him. The next day, Su Chin wakes up after hearing continuous knocks on her door. She opens the door, and it is the rescue team who wants permission to use the balcony of her house to save a child who was struck outside the building accidentally. She grants the permission, and the team quickly rescues the child. Su Chin then bandaged the child's arm as it was injured. Before
Christ.
leaving, Su Chin asks a firefighter to send her Song Yan's contact number without telling him. Then she asks Song Yan to have some tea as he has made a lot of effort to save that child. So, Song Yan stops for a moment and takes tea in her house. When Song Yan leaves the building, Su Chin calls him from the window and asks if he is free this weekend. But Song Yan again ignores her and goes away. In the night, Su Chin receives Song Yan's contact number, which was sent by a firefighter. She seems happy just scrolling through Song Yan's profile on WeChat. The next day, Su Chin herself reaches the fire and rescue station to meet Song Yan. She asks him out, but Song Yan declines her offer. Then she demands a treat from him as she has allowed them to enter their house the previous day to save that kid. At this, Song Yan has no other choice but to give her a treat. They finalize the date, and Song Yan runs before the firefighter boy who had leaked his number to Su Chin. Though he is the captain of his team, he still has very friendly relations with everyone on his team. On the day of their date, we see Su Chin being ready for the special occasion. She even gets help from her friend to put on some makeup. Song Yan also gets a fresh haircut and then leaves for the desired meeting. They go to a local restaurant where they used to go together 10 years ago. In this romantic moment, we see Song Yan coming hard on poor Su Chin, who is trying to be cute all the time. He even finishes his meal very quickly and asks Su Chin to eat fast. Su Chin acts on his order, but she again seems cute with so much food in her mouth. Song Yan can't handle her cuteness, and before he falls again into her charm, he steps out of the restaurant and waits for her to complete the food. Meanwhile, he receives a phone call from the police station. His cousin Zhai Miao was arrested by the police. So, Song Yan runs towards the police station. There, he learned that Zhai Miao was selling fake products, and many of her buyers had complained about her. Now, she is not revealing the name of her supplier. Su Chin takes Zhai Miao with her and talks to her privately. She says that Song Yan can do anything for her if Zhai Miao is really acknowledging her own mistake and helps in the investigation. Otherwise, police will inform about the case to her school and she will not be able to graduate from the school. Zhai Miao agrees to talk about her supplier and gives all the details to police. After some days, when firefighters are busy on a rescue mission, a big explosion occurs. Unfortunately, the friend of Song Yan, instructor Suo Jun, was very near to the explosion, so he suffered a lot of injuries. He is rushed to the hospital by the ambulance. As soon as Song Yan hears this news, he also runs towards the hospital. When he reaches there, Suo Jun is out of danger, but one side of his body is completely burnt. His face is burnt from the side, and he can no longer use his one arm. Song Yan is deeply saddened by seeing this scene as he knows that Suo Jun will not be able to work with him now. They have to be apart from each other. They have been together for more than 8 years, and now their lives are taking turns away from each other. Suo Jun asks Song Yan not to be sad as now he will be able to give more attention to his parents. Actually, Son Yen and Suo Jun had an argument in the previous days on this topic. Suo Jun wanted to get transferred to a station near his house so that he could give more attention to his old parents, but Son Yen wanted him to be at the main station with him. Now, when Suo Jun has agreed to remain at the station, this accident has occurred. Son Yen is also repenting for quarreling with him about this matter. Now Son Yen knows that Suo Jun didn't even submit the application for his transfer. He just quarreled with him for nothing. After some days, when Suo Jun's health is recovered, he is given a farewell with a proper honorary ceremony and all the high esteemed badges of their command.
Why is this
In
guy
the
talking
past,
so
we
fucking
see that
slow?
Su Chin's real parents died in an accident, and the main family
Oh
adopted
my
her,
God,
though she
you're a
was
piece
treated
of
well in the main
shit.
family. Her adoptive mother didn't allow her to be with Son Yen because of the status issues. Ming's
Son Yen
family
is
gave
so
all the facilities
bad.
to Su Chin and even brought her up as a good surgeon. Back at the present, her mother shows Su Chin some photographs of the males to select one for her marriage. One of them is Jian, who comes from a rich family.
God,
Su
he's so
Chin's
bad.
mother
I don't
arranges a
know what to
meetup
do.
for both of them, but at the restaurant, when they are talking, Su
get
Chin
these
receives a
stars, man. I
message
don't
from
even know
Son
why.
Yen. So, she quickly got off and went from the restaurant, saying that there was an emergency in the hospital. Back at home, when Su Chin tells her mother that she is dating someone, her mother coldly asks her to stop dating anyone below her family standards. She threatens Su Chin that if she doesn't stop dating Son Yen, then she will become the same mother of 10 years past when she separated both of them. She even tries to talk to her father, but his views are also the same as those of her mother's. He also doesn't want her daughter to be with someone below their level.
this?
The following day, when Xu Chin and Son Yen are present at a restaurant, an accident suddenly occurs in the kitchen of that restaurant.
The fuck?
Son Yen, being the firefighter, though he is off duty,
Oh, shit.
quickly runs into the kitchen and saves a lady. He lifts her in his arms and brings her to safety. It turns out that the lady is a friend of Su Chin named Yu Xiao. She becomes very interested in Son Yen because she sees him helping people in an emergency situation so bravely. So, she repeatedly asks Su Chin for Son Yan's contact number. She wants to date Son Yen now. Su Chin doesn't tell her about their relationship and gives her Son Yan's contact number. When Yu Xiao calls
Use
him,
it on a-
Son Yen doesn't
the
even
fuck?
pay
Use
much
it on
attention
a-
to her and also declines the offer of a treat from her. Su Chin is being happy by listening to all this. Her man is a loyal one. She should be happy, but Yu Xiao is not a person who loses so easily. She continues to contact Son Yen again and again. One day, Son Yen agrees to meet her, and Yu Xiao tells Su Chin about this, which makes her very sad. In her sadness and anger towards Son Yen, she drinks a lot and then goes to the house of Son Yen in a drunk state. She pours out all of her feelings to Son Yen there. She thinks that she is the only one trying to rebuild the relationship between them, and Son Yen doesn't even want to take a step toward her. She accuses him of being indifferent about their relationship. Zhai Miao is also present there and tries to speak about the sacrifices of her cousin for Su Chin, but Son Yen stops her. He wants to endure the whole pain alone and doesn't want Su Chin to bear the weight of truth. He can make himself grieved but can't afford to see her loved one being sad for a moment. The next day, when Son Yen is going out, his uncle advises him to get his love back. He says that Son Yen is lucky to have a second chance to get his love, so he should put in all the effort to get it. Son Yen calls Su Chin and asks her to meet him. They meet outside the building where Su Chin lives. So, Su Chin takes him to her house, and Son Yen makes some food for Su Chin to eat. During these touching
God,
moments,
so
Son Yen
bad,
now
dude.
speaks about his heart. He wants to come together with Su Chin, but he wants surety that she would take a stand for him in front of her family. Son Yen now can't bear to be apart from Su Chin, so that's why he wants Su Chin to come into the relationship after thinking about every aspect of it. But Su Chin can't go against her family. She can't even promise Son Yen that she will always be with him, but Son Yen wants a final decision as they are going to be together now, or otherwise, they will never see each other again. After that, Son Yen has left and the brother of Su Chin, Yen Chen, comes to take Su Chin with her. During the drive, Su Chin tells her brother that she feels like an animal who is trained to act according to the will of her master. She also expresses that she wants to live with her family and Son Yen together, but now she is being forced to decide one of them, which she can't. The next day, we see all the firefighters are enjoying meals sent by Yu Xiao. She is still trying to be friendly so that she could impress Son Yen, but Son Yen calls her and strictly forbids her from sending meals again. She also tells her that Su Chin is his first love. Also, we come to know that Son Yen met her before just to say that she should leave him alone and look for someone else. Die-hearted by the behavior of Son Yen, Yu Xiao comes to Su Chin and tells her about everything happened yet between her and Son Yen. She is mad at Su Qin because of not telling her anything about their relationship. Now, as she has known about both of them, Yu Xiao motivates Su Qin to reconcile with Song Yan, but Su Qin knows that it's not very easy for both of them to reconcile. Then we see Su Qin again go to her mother to talk about the matter of her love.
Fuck.
She says that Song
That's the
Yan
wrong
makes
one.
her feel at home all the time. She is happy just being with him. Also, Song Yan cares a lot about her, but her mother
fucking
becomes
hate this
angry at her. She doesn't even want to hear the name of Song Yan. She blames him that he comes from a bad family with no manners and a wrecked past. She thinks that Song Yan must not have been brought up well, and one day, he will ditch Su Qin as he is just after her for her wealth. Actually, Song Yan's mother left her husband when Song Yan was a child. She went to someone else richer than Song Yan's father. After that, Song Yan's father started drinking a lot in her disloyalty. All the burden of the home chores came on the shoulders of Song Yan. And then, one day, Song Yan's father was found dead outside of the house due to the extreme cold weather and excessive drinking. Though Song Yan was helpless and left alone now, her mother never returned for him. She was busy in her new life. Then Song Yan met Su Qin, and she changed his life completely. They became friends and spent time together, being the source of happiness for each other. They also went to meet Song Yan's mother, but she didn't even come to meet him. From that day, Song Yan believes that his mother is dead for him, but he had Su Qin with him all the time, who used to make him happy. One day, a man calls the rescue team to remove a nest of bees from the roof of his house. When a firefighter is removing that nest, he slips while posing for clicking a picture of himself. This causes the bees to fly and bite Song Yan. So, Song Yan is transported to the hospital. There, Su Qin was present for his treatment. She removes his clothes and then treats the wound. There is an awkward moment when suddenly, some nurses enter the room while Xu Qin is treating Song Yan on his exposed body. Seeing them, Song Yan quickly pulls his pants back up on his butt. After the treatment, when Song Yan leaves the hospital, he sees Su Qin's brother Yenchen coming. Yenchen stops Song Yan and talks to him. He also wants him to stop seeing his sister as Song Yan doesn't match the status of their family. But Song Yan says that Yenchen should leave this matter to Su Qin as it's her life, and she should be the one deciding if she wants to be with him or not. Yenchen, being the brother, wants the best for his sister, but Song Yan reminds him that he is not the real brother and that he is too possessive about Su Qin. Yenchen has also tried multiple times to convince Su Qin to convince her against Song Yan, but he has always failed. Though Yenchen doesn't feel as cold person as his mother still, he has issues with Song Yan. He argues that Song Yan will never be so good to Su Qin as her family is good to her. But Su Qin believes that Song Yan is a good person as he has helped so many lives. And it doesn't matter if he comes from a lowly family. He has a good heart that beats for humanity. After that, our rescue team gets a mission to escort out some hikers who have been stranded in the mountains. The rescue team makes a plan to search for the hikers, and after some time of extreme hard work, they finally get them. But one of the hikers is extremely injured and can't even wait to go to the hospital. So, Song Yan calls Su Qin in an emergency and explains the whole situation. Xu Qin then guides Song Yan in giving basic treatment to the injured hiker in the woods. When the basic aid is given, they carry the patient and start their journey out of the forest. But a firefighter slips on the track and falls from a cliff down into a lake. Song Yan goes down to save him and get him back to the team, but the firefighter's foot is strangled below a heavy stone, and Song Yan alone can't get it out of that stone. Also, they have an injured patient who is continuously in pain. So, Song Yan asks his team to leave the hikers at the base camp and then come back for their help. Meanwhile, Song Yan remains back with his firefighter, who gives him hope and heat all the time. Su Qin is sitting at her house and is worried about Song Yan as he is not replying to her text messages. The rescue team reaches the base camp and safely leaves all the hikers there. Then they go back into the forest to get their friend firefighter and their captain back. Song Yan is extremely exhausted after coming back to safety. At the base camp, they see that all the hikers, their relatives, and news anchors have left the place. They didn't even wait for the rescue team to come back. Song Yan says that this is the life where they have to work selflessly for humanity without expecting anything back. He messages Su Qin and informs her that he has safely returned to the station. Seeing the messages, Su Qin gets a sigh of relief and then goes to sleep. As Suo Jun left the station after his injury, The new instructor on the rescue team was Jiang. He is the same person whom Su Qin met earlier on the asking of her mother. Now, he advises Song Yan that they should have a medical team with their rescue team during the operations, as they felt the great need for the medical team when they were extracting those hikers from the forest. Jiang also proposed this idea in front of his officials, and they agreed to give them a medical team. Su Qin comes with a doctor and some nurses on their team to help with the rescue team in their missions. After the formal introduction, Su Qin sets out to teach firefighters about the basic first aid methods. First of all, she teaches them CPR and Song Yan is her subject. She asks Song Yan to remove his shirt to show the points on his chest to be pressed if a patient is not breathing. Song Yan removes his shirt, but when Su Qin touches his naked body, he becomes uncomfortable and stands to go away. The next day, firefighters give training to their medical team to increase their strength. When Su Qin is running on a treadmill, Song Yan comes to run on the neighboring treadmill. Su Qin, watching Song Yan running faster than her, also increases the speed of her own treadmill. But Song Yan knows that this speed is too much for her, so he steps down and stops Su Qin's treadmill. When Su Qin is going back, she feels pain in her ankle and sits down. She has sprained his ankle by running so fast. So, Song Yan treats her ankle while all the firefighters look at them in surprise. The next day, the rescue team receives an emergency call about a road traffic accident. The rescue team, along with the medical team, goes to the site and escorts the injured people. With the presence of the medical team, the injured ones get the proper treatment on the spot in a timely manner, and in this way, the life of a person is saved. The rescue team clicks a photo to make this mission memorable. Also, the feelings between Su Qin and Song Yan have been increasing, and they are slowly coming together by working together on such missions. Back at the station, Su Qin sees Song Yan talking to a female officer of the Fire and Rescue Center. She seems jealous of her, and when she tries to talk to Song Yan about her, he even puts oil in the burning flame and doesn't clear out her suspicions. So, to take revenge, Su Qin also talks to Jiang in front of Song Yan.
She's a magic fighter?
She even extends her conversation with him just to make Song Yan jealous. After that, when Song Yan talks to Jiang about Su Qin, Jiang even pulls his leg, saying that they have already met at a restaurant. Also, the mother of Su Qin wants them to be together. There, Song Yan reveals to him that Su Qin is his first love, and Jian bursts out in laughter. He has been just pulling his leg all this time, and he knows about both of them already. On the other hand, the mother of Su Qin has come to know that her daughter is working with the rescue team. So, he asks the director of the hospital to call their medical team back, as it is inappropriate for young lady doctors to work with the rescue missions in dangerous places. She also arranges a meeting with Song Yan at a restaurant. There, the mother of Su Qin admits that she had destroyed the family of Song Yan and could have destroyed Song Yan at that time. But Song Yan's father begged her not to hurt Song Yan in his future, so she left him alone at that time. Song Yan knows that Su Qin's mother is the real villain in his story, so he asks her not to meddle in his life again, as he is now stronger and more resilient than his childhood version. He can go to any extent to save his family and Su Qin from her. Saying this, he pays the bill for their coffee and leaves. Back at the station, Jiang tells Song Yan that authorities want the medical team back to the hospital. Song Yan knows that Su Qin's mother must be behind this, so he wants his firefighters to get the basic life support health training from the medical team in the time which they have until the medical team leave. On the ground, we see when some nurses want to experience being firefighters by holding the nozzle of the water pipe, but when the pressure of water gets out of their control, they make Su Qin wet while she is clicking their picture. Song Yan is also watching this. So, he takes Su Qin to the changing room and gives her his uniform to wear. Until then, he dries her hair so that she does not catch a cold. He even combs her hair like the days he used to do 10 years ago. During this, Su Qin asks Song Yan to tell her anything about the 10 years when they were separate from each other. She wants to know everything, including his life in the military, but Song Yan ignores her question, which makes Su Qin angry with him. Actually, Song Yan had a terrible life in the military. He was shot on a mission and was about to die, but the longing to meet Su Qin made her live. He even had a lighter, having a picture of Su Qin with him all the time. This lighter proved helpful and stopped a fatal gunshot from touching his body. Also, Song Yan doesn't want to tell her about his previous life because Su Qin's mother had always been an obstacle in his promotion to higher ranks, and that's why he had to leave the army. After that, we see Su Qin meets with another male sent by her mother. While discussing their daily lives, Su Qin says to that man that she has a boyfriend already. Actually, Su Chin is not interested in seeing males sent by her mother. She wants to be together with Son Yan and will never date anyone else. Meanwhile, Son Yan is thinking about Su Chin after their small argument. He is worried about her and watching her profile picture. Accidentally, he calls her when Su Chin is present at the hospital. They again have a romantic little argument where Su Chin says that Son Yan doesn't have a good EQ as she doesn't care for her emotions. After the call, Su Chin is informed that the rescue team is going to conduct an emergency drill at their hospital, and Su Chin is asked to participate in this drill as a doctor who is struck in the pharmacy. So now, during the drill, Su Chin is waiting for her savior, Son Yan, in the pharmacy, but he comes there very late. So, Su Chin shows her anger towards him as she has been waiting for a long time. Suddenly, the whole building starts to shake. These are some shocks of earthquakes that shackle everything in the hospital. Son Yan quickly covers Su Chin to protect her from any potential damage when everything from the shelves falls on them. When the earthquake stops, he lifts Su Chin in his arms so that the broken glasses will not hurt her feet and then takes her out of the pharmacy. He leaves Su Chin there and then goes out to help others. Meanwhile, everyone escaped out of the building to stay safe from the earthquake. After some days, Su Chin returns the lighter having her picture on it to Son Yan. She had found it in the truck of the firefighters. Then Su Chin asks happily to reconcile together, which is responded by a smile by Son Yan. It means that they are going to be together now. One day, the rescue team gets a call from a jewelry store. A woman has put a ring on her finger while checking it, but now it has struck around her finger and can't be taken off without cutting the ring. But the problem is that the ring is very expensive and her husband has to pay for it if rescue team cuts it. The lady is weeping continuously and doesn't know what to do. Also, her husband is continuously rebuking her for wearing such a ring on her finger. Here our rescue team convinces the son of that lady to allow them for cutting the ring as his mother is in continuous pain. He allows it and they cut the ring using their instruments. Also, they ask the manager of that shop to use the cut ring for making something else and paying back the money to the family of that lady. The manager agrees and, in this way, they have solved the issue. Then we see a firefighter. Jian Yu is very anxious about the victims of earthquake and continuously searching for more victims to save them, even though his captain Son Yan has asked him to take a break. When Son Yan goes to him and asks about the reason of his anxiousness, Jian Yu tells him that he is unable to contact his mother who was present at an area which is also hit by the earthquake. In the night, Son Yan promises him that he will try to ask the official to contact his mother. Li Meng, a firefighter administrative official, comes with the news that the mother of Jian Yu is safe and sound. This makes all the firefighters very happy. Back in the city, we see Son Yan come to meet Su Chin and ask her if she missed her or not when he was out on the rescue mission helping the victims. Su Chin, trying to tease him, says that she didn't miss him at all. Hearing this, when Son Yan tries to go on his way, Su Chin stops him and kisses him passionately. They go inside and enjoy some romantic moments together now, as they are together, so they live in Su Chin's place. Son Yan also buys some safety tools for Su Chin so that if she is struck somewhere, she can use them to get out of that situation. The love and respect in the hearts of both of them for each other has increased a lot. They are more closer together now than any time before of their life. Back in the time of the earthquake when Son Yan was badly injured under the huge weight of construction debris, Su Chin was persistent that she had to go down to treat Son Yan. She knew that the area is highly dangerous down there, but she was weeping and saying that she had to go for saving Son Yan as Son Yan is the source of her life. If something happens to him, she will also not be able to live. Eventually, she went down to treat Son Yan. She puts a drip and then she receives a call from a nurse that she is needed there for treating another patient. So, she then goes there. After that, firefighters rescue Son Yan out of that place. A senior doctor performs surgery on Son Yan. In the morning, when Su Chin is free from treating other patients, she quickly goes towards Son Yan but sees a dead body being carried out of that tent. She weepingly removes the cloth from the face of that dead body, but thankfully, it's someone else. Our hero, Son Yan, is safe and sound but in another tent. When Su Chin goes to see Son Yan in that tent, an army officer is already there. He is a close friend of Son Yan's from the military who has served the country with Son Yan. He thinks that Su Chin is Son Yan's wife, as he has seen her picture on the lighter that Son Yan always carried with him. Son Yan had also told him back in the military that he was going to marry this lady once he got back home. But Son Yan now tells him that she is not yet his wife. There are some hurdles, and that's why they are still not married. Then Son Yan sees the batches on that friend's uniform. He has been promoted to higher ranks while Son Yen is out of the military.
my
Then the
best
firefighters
friend.
come there to meet Son Yen. They tell him about the child whom Son Yen saved earlier is actually the son of a military personnel who was busy serving the earthquake victims in another area. And he is very happy after finding that his son is safe from the havocs of earthquake. Back in the present, we see Su Chi and Song Yen traveling together, going to visit different places, watching
Swan.
movies, etc. They are spending a quality time together. When they are at the grocery store, they shop all the items to make food at their own home instead of ordering it from outside. Back at home, Song Yen prepares food for both of them, and then they enjoy their meal together in a candlelight dinner. After the dinner, Song Yen tells Su Chin that he has to go now, and then he leaves her house though he doesn't want to. Su Chin runs behind him and stops him from going away. She kisses him and then takes him back to her house. They enjoy some romantic moments in that night. In the morning, they have their breakfast together and then leaves for their work. In the